Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here, and today we will have a look at 9 games that may be worth your time and will play nicely on the Acer Nitro 5. Some have been released recently or may have been updated. They are in no particular order and may not appeal to everyone, but just know that they are all good in their own way. So, let's go! Number 1. If you've been in the battle arena scene, there is no doubt you've heard of Apex Legends. This is a game that is trying to topple Fortnite, which is king of the Battle Royale. So, what makes this game so different? Well, it features 8 different characters. 2 of them are locked. There will be more on the way, so just hold tight. You don't need any real money to unlock them, and you can earn enough in-game currency to get them. If you do go the free route, it may take a while to collect the needed tokens. I've heard anywhere between 17 and 22 hours. The legends are in categories such as offensive, defensive, and support. Each character has a special ability that can greatly help out your team of 3. That's right, you will play in teams of 3. It's not so bad when you give it a try. Anyway, say for instance your team just finished up a firefight and some of the armor is damaged and you could possibly be out of shields. If you have lifelines, you can call down a pod that may have just what you need. Gibraltar can call in a concentrated mortar strike on a marked position. Another example is Mirage. He can send out a decoy of himself to draw out enemies that may be hiding, giving away their position. There are plenty of weapon types, armor, and health throughout the map. Just try to get there before anyone else. Visuals are nice and explosions go boom. Teamwork is key. And if you like Fortnite, you are to give this one a chance. Music is great, action is fast, and the biggest surprise, it's free. So don't miss out. Frame rate wise, the game runs excellent. If you want to see some settings that I have used, check the description box for the video. Number 2. What do you get when you have a post-apocalyptic setting with some elements of Stalker along with dangerous mutants that could come straight out of a Clive Barker novel? Metro Exodus. That's right, this is the 3rd installment of the franchise and it is a beaut. Metro Exodus is set after the events of its predecessor on a post-apocalyptic Earth that has been devastated by a nuclear war. The game continues the story of Artem, who flees the Metro in Moscow and sets off on a journey across the continent with some Spartan Rangers and anyone else that wants to help. First thing you will notice from the previous entry is that it is huge. There are countless mutants, both on land, sea, and in the air, and they are roaming unchecked, so you have to be on guard at all times. Some resemble small dogs, giant birds, and there is one type of creature that can only be described as supernatural. The land is also inhabited by other humans, some friendly, but most of the time not. They are referred to as bandits. Many times, as you are able to free roam, you will discover an encampment. Usually there are some goodies inside if you can clean out whatever has taken residence in it. You don't always have to go in guns blazing. You can stealthily take out all the inhabitants with knife kills. Just stay in the darkness and don't forget to turn out the lights. As you kill throughout the game, don't forget to collect resources so you can craft ammunition, grenades, and Molotovs at workbenches. Or you can even build new guns based on the parts that you have available. There is also a day and night cycle that has its advantages and disadvantages when going on missions, so be sure to listen to the NPCs if they give you some advice. Story is engaging and never gets boring and never feels like a fetch quest. Sometimes you'll find yourself just wandering around, but don't stray too far or you'll find yourself dead by some overpowered creature. Frame rate wise, the game is very demanding and will quickly bring your machine to its knees. If you are using a Nitro 5, try running with low settings or drop the resolution to get the frame rate up. If you want to see resolutions that I have used, check the description box for a video link. Number 3. Devil May Cry 5. Yes, this is a good one. This had a lot of hype behind it, making it a must-have game, especially if you were a Devil May Cry fan. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first entry on this generation of hardware. Because of this, the game is able to take advantage of the advanced lighting effects and textures to make the game look better than it ever has before. The game features lots of action centered around 3 characters, Dante, Nero, and the new protagonist named V, as they attempt to stop the demon Urizen. Devil May Cry 5 has plenty of upgrades to keep you collecting those red orbs. Each character has their own upgrades and they are non-transferable, so upgrading Nero's abilities will not upgrade Dante's. Nero has a lot of devil breakers to use on his lost arm. Check these names out: Pasta Breaker, Monkey Business, Helter Skelter. Damn, who thought of those names? Luckily, most of the names kind of describe what the Devil Breaker looks like. You can tell Capcom had some humor, as there is one called the Mega Buster, which is the same arm Mega Man has. As you play, you will see lots of cutscenes, and I mean a lot. They are very interesting to look at and do progress the story along. Some of them are just transitions to one part of the level to the next, and there is no way to tell, so you can just skip them. Flashy is where it's at. Devil May Cry 5 keeps the rating system as you bash your enemy's head in while finishing them off with a somersault and a sword to the gut. Just about every aspect of the character can be upgraded to help pull off the moves. You gotta be quick or you'll lose the rating. There are other minor characters in the game that will help out our heroes, but they aren't playable. Did you know that Devil May Cry 5 features an option to see the live mock portrayal of the rendered cutscenes? Yep, it's in there. All in all, this is a game worthy of the name. From the sinister looking creatures right down to the large, almost full screen bosses. Devil May Cry 5 runs decent on the Nitro 5, but expect some FPS jumps from time to time. Hopefully they will fix the performance soon. If you want to see how well it performs, check in the description box for a video link. Number 4. Alright, this one snuck up under the radar and was missed by a lot of people. Though, if you hate reading, then you probably skipped it anyway. But you shouldn't have. Sunless Skies is an action RPG decision-making type of game. It's like this. You're the captain of a train that is in some area of the galaxy. I can't tell if it's in space or what, but the train appears to be flying. Within this train, you have a certain amount of space that will hold different modules. Some modules will increase your hull, while others can increase your crew. With enough money, you can get another steam engine that is better than the one you currently have. In this game, your decisions will determine the fate of you and your crew. After a battle, do you push even deeper within the damaged carcass of your enemy's vessel, or do you leave with the items you have already found? Do you eat dead crewmen because the crew is starving? Or do you let them starve, causing them not to work at their full potential? The story is really gripping as you move from port to port, picking up passengers and trading goods. By the way, don't let the simple graphics throw you off. There is a little bit of strategy when doing battle in this universe, which boils down to leading your target and firing. It sounds easy, but you gotta try it and just see how the mechanics work. Some enemies have stronger weapons, so you'll have to outmaneuver them to win. Always keep an eye on resources, as fuel and food run quite low very fast. Make use of scouts, as if you get lost or start to run low on fuel, it could possibly find a resource or a port for you to dock at. Picking your attributes when building your captain will afford you abilities, so pick well. The game might not be for most, as it really is heavy in the reading department. Every time you make it to a port, you have to read. There is no voiceover or anything like that. Ports are pretty much the heart of the game, as it will let you know if there are shops available for trade, or if there is a tavern so you can go and chat with the townsfolk. Frame rate wise, it was excellent. No slowdown whatsoever. Number 5. Dirt Rally 2.0 is an amazing looking game. Nice looking cars, along with the engine and the navigator just spitting out directions. So let me tell you the bad first. The game has a smaller roster of cars compared to the previous. It has fewer tracks. Hill climb mode is missing. No force feedback for steering wheels. No VR support. Not really that well optimized. And I'm hearing people with 2080 cards, they are struggling to keep a steady 60 FPS with all settings maxed out. And the biggest one of all, always on single player mode. This will always be a turnoff for a lot of players, and actually to me it's just unnecessary. I guess they're just trying to beat piracy or something. Now the good. Dirt Rally 2.0 has real track degradation, so running in laps will let you see your previous tire indentions. Well, not to the knobby, but you can see where your tracks were made on the previous lap. The sound. I will never get tired of hearing the turbo kick in while driving. Depending on your car, the inside drone almost sounds like Kit from the Knight Rider show. Not the eye sound, the engine sound. And did I mention that this is a simulator? Oops, it sure is. So you know what that means. Don't try to go in balls to the wall on a straightaway and expect to drift around a tight acute. It will never happen. And if you do know someone that has done that, let me know. I want to see it. You have to take care when driving. You have to get to know how your car handles. Trust me. After using a certain car, you will get a feel on how fast you can go and how much gas you can give it coming out of a turn. Making yourself familiar with the navigator will help immensely as he tells you directions, sometimes 2 ahead. The game also has night tracks, daytime tracks, tracks with rain, gravel, and many other combinations. Dirt Rally 2 has different ways to play. There is the Historic Championships mode, which allows you to play through rally events throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. There is also a time trial mode and a custom mode, which lets you create your own events, which can be played both online against other players as well as offline. FPS wise, the game runs fluid at very low, but it's ugly. Medium should be the sweet spot. If you want to see further settings, check the description box for a link. By the way, if you can wait for a sale, that would be great. I feel you would get a better deal, and some of the content, such as vehicles that could have been cut from the game, I bet will come in the form of DLC later on this year. Number 6. You step into your apartment. 80s music drifts through the air. An idol show plays on the television. A nostalgic setting surely. But what is this feeling of unease? You question this place you used to call home, noticing as it distorts with every shift of your eyes, anxious as your surroundings skirt the precipice of the extraordinary. As you push through each memory, uncovering the layers of each mystery you may find buried in this home, the unsettling truth of who lived here. Remember what you prayed for. Oh man, it's one of those games. A game I hate so much because they are scary, and man, I'm serious. This game is called Devotion. It is an atmospheric, first-person horror game. It is story-driven and will give you the creeps if played along with the lights out. You start out sitting on the couch, and your wife is talking to you in the kitchen, which I'm assuming is your wife. You are looking around and things start to get blurry and slow. Next thing you know, the lights are out and everyone is gone. What you have to do is wander around the building, finding items and putting them back in place to trigger a memory or possibly a clue to help you. If you're thinking you're alone, you're wrong. There are things in this game that are stationary. You'll pass them, and before you know it, they're almost in your face, posed differently than before. The game works its magic using sounds and voices. Imagery plays a part as well. I don't want to give too much away, And if you like games such as this, you won't be disappointed. I believe this game will cause heart attacks if it had VR support. I am dead serious on that. Frame rate wise, it's not very well optimized. I played on medium and got a range between 44 and 60, but your mileage may differ.
Number 7.
Oh yeah, we have Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Set in Washington, D.C., the game takes place 7 months after the deadly virus was released in New York City, and the nation has become a shell of its former self. While the virus has been contained, its effects are most evident in the devastated streets of the nation's capital, where survivors cling to hope and struggle to rebuild. Enter the Division, a unit of civilian sleeper agents who now must work to stop the enemy factions from completely taking over the city, and ultimately the nation. As a universally regarded seat of power, if DC falls, the nation falls. With civilians helpless and fearing for their lives, you will be the last line of defense in preventing the total collapse of society. And you know what? I'm feeling this because everywhere I go, I'm getting praised. Hey, Agent. Hi, Agent. We're so lucky to have you, Agent. You want to check in, Agent? Ubisoft has done a real good job of keeping your morale up while playing this game. But seriously, the game is great. The streets look totally trashed. Garbage is everywhere. Some are even stacked 2 stories high. Automobiles look like they have been hit with a nuclear bomb, and some of them look as though they are melted. You have great looking reflections, lens flare from the sun, fog at dawn, steam from broken pipes. It's all very convincing. All I keep saying is I hope this never happens in real life. The only thing that is great about something like this is that the technology is still available. So for those of you out there, you still can watch TV or get on the internet. You get a ton of weapons in the Division 2. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of, but once you know what you're doing, it's simple. You can get matching armor sets, and when combined can give you stats such as plus 10% rifle damage, plus 7.5% total armor, and plus 7% damage to elites. Or you can get a plus 10% explosive damage, plus 10% shotgun damage, and plus 10% cooldown reduction, which is good. This is just a few, and there are many more. Loot is everywhere, so look for anything glowing. And if you help the settlements, you will gain the ability for a short while to find even more. You also have perks, special abilities, and upgrades that you can tend to. My favorite ability so far is the turret and the drone with the machine gun attachment. I can destroy some enemies with that setup. I am enjoying it very much and will venture to use other abilities such as the shield or chemical gun. You can choose to free roam just to explore, or you can tackle the missions by yourself. I've done this for the first 10 hours of my gameplay. I just started running with matchmaking enabled, so when someone needs help, I can join up. I've ran into a few enemies, typical ones that try to do melee damage, ones that shoot at you with standard rifles, and an enemy with a heavy machine gun sometimes laying on the ground. Taking on a mission by yourself is challenging, but it can be done if you just take your time. If it gets too difficult, just call in reinforcements. The map is large and there is plenty for you to do, and I don't see myself tiring from this game for a long time. The game features modes such as skirmish and domination, co-op, and the dark zones, in which I have not even played yet. If you like looter shooters, this is the game to get, for now. Though the game seems sort of perfect, it's not. I have had game freezes, plenty of crashes, and many disconnects. Frame rate wise, this is another one that runs really well at medium or low setting, and if you want to see more, there's a link in the description box.
Number 8.
Ape Out. The title pretty much sums up what the game is about. It's about an ape out of its cage, and if you get in its way, you are a goner. The object of the game is to try to make your way through the maze and get to the end of the level. Along the way, there are human characters with guns, shotguns, and bombs. They will do everything they can to stop you. If they get a hit on you, you will begin to leave a trail of orange blood. Don't worry though, if you can reach the enemy fast enough, you can hit them so hard they will turn into a bloody pulp on the wall. You can even hit them into other characters. Just don't hit the bomb guys and be in the explosion radius. Around the second level, you will get Hulk-like powers and be able to rip certain doors off its hinges and use it as a shield or smash the enemies with it. Can I say that one of the best things about this overhead beat 'em up is the music? There is a lot of percussion instrument noises that play as background music, enemy deaths, and others. It's quite interesting to hear and then see on screen. This is a fun game to play when you just want to kill some time. The game is fairly simple with a couple of mouse buttons and has very few colors. The developer was very creative in the use of colors and how they are used in the game. You definitely have to play this one. As expected, the Nitro didn't even sweat.
Number 9.
With this one, we are back in space, but unlike the previous, we will be controlling ships as big as small cities, some having a crew of over 20,000. Expanding on the groundwork laid out by the first game, Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 is the sequel that is bigger, richer, more impressive than its predecessor. You'll be able to control fleets representing one of 12 factions, such as the Adeptus Mechanicus, Chaos, Necrons, Orcs, Imperial Navy, and many more. With one of these factions, you will battle in the Eye of Terror. From the fastest frigates to the gigantic battleships, you will customize all aspects of the ships, weaponry, defense and support subsystems, etc. Each customization affecting the very performance of the ship and the special abilities available during battle. While the first game was set during the Gothic War, also known as the 12th Black Crusade in the Warhammer 40k lore, this one will be the Gathering Storm, which we will see the advancement of the 13th Black Crusade on Cadia. Of the 3 campaigns available, the Galaxy map will let you manage your fleets, take over systems, and launch real-time tactical battles. Now, when I read that, I was like, yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun RTS game. Then I played it. Oh my God, this is not the typical. This is not Command & Conquer or StarCraft. This is much more involved. So, after watching the intro video and getting sucked into the story, you will begin your first mission, which is the prologue. This is essentially one big tutorial, and it's great. It will teach you how to move around the map, select your vessels, and attack the enemy. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? There's more. When you attack an enemy, you can set the distance at which to keep. You can also target different parts of the enemy's ship. If you don't want your enemy to get away, take out their engines. And while you're at it, launch some boarding party torpedoes. You can even focus fire with all your vessels, which will grant you a special ability in certain situations. When attacking enemies, remember some weapons can fire at certain distances, and not only that, it may only be able to fire from the port or starboard side. There's also a ramming tactic that you can use, and it does exactly what the name suggests. Ramming will affect you and the enemy, so make sure you are healthy enough to pull it off. Unless you're doing a kamikaze. If your ship is big enough, you can just run over small ships. They will explode almost on impact. Here's something. Remember the game Homeworld? Remember how you could launch small fighters and bombers? Well, you can do that too in this game. Some ships have this ability and some do not. Firing certain weapons and doing certain maneuvers will have a cooldown, so plan accordingly. Always analyze your enemy if possible. Most ships have shields, so try to take them out and then go for the hull. Something to mention is morale. You have to make sure that it stays up. If not, you will have a mutiny on your hands. This will happen if morale gets down to 0. Your ship will begin to move toward the edge of the map, and it will last until you restore morale or all your crew is dead, which makes the ship a drifting piece of steel, or a hulk is which they call it in the game. So always keep the rally command handy, and that's most of the time located on your flagship. This game features really detailed ships. Some of the hulls resemble layers of bones, and it's quite interesting to look at. Explosions and weapons fire are all decently animated, especially when one of the largest ships are firing one of their special weapons. When a vessel is taking on damage, you will be able to see the scorch marks on the hull. It will start turning a different color, like a hot molten orange red with particles floating around, which represents the hull falling apart. If you can get over the overwhelming menu and steep learning curve, there is a good game and fun times waiting to be had. Setting the preset to medium should give you some decent FPS in the upper 50s. During this recording though, I had the preset on high, which was an accident of course. With that said, this wraps up the 9 good games to play on the Acer Nitro 5. All games were played with the i5 7300 and 1050 Ti variant. In closing, if the video helped you, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you would like to know the hardware that I'm using, I have them listed in the description box. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Meanpooh, out.
Fight on! All hands! One last effort before they overwhelm us! Make